If a seed of truth is planted, it must operate, it must grow, it must function. It has a life of its own. You plant in me the seed that truth is a pathless land. Also, a seed is planted in my consciousness that says, there is a way to truth. Follow me. One is false, one is true. They are both embedded in my consciousness. So there is a struggle going on. The true and the false. Both are operating, which causes more confusion, more misery, and a great deal of suffering, if I'm sensitive enough. If I don't escape from that suffering, what takes place? If you don't escape, then you will have the energy to see what is true. Can thought, which is a material, a chemical process, a thing which has created all this structure of reality, can that very thought solve our problems? One must very carefully find out what are the limitations of thought. Thought has created the technological world, and thought has also created the division between you and me. Thought has created the image of you and the me, and these images separate each one of us. Thought can only function in duality, in opposite, and therefore all reaction is a divisive process. Thought has created division between human beings, nationalities, religious beliefs, dogmas, political differences, opinions, conclusions, and all that is the result of thought. Thought has also created the division between you and me as form and name. And thought has created the center, which is the me as opposed to you. Therefore, there is a division between you and me. Thought has created this whole structure of social behavior, which is essentially based on tradition, which is mechanical. Thought has also created the religious world, the Christian, the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Muslim, with all the divisions, all the practices. Can thought be aware of itself? Can your thought become conscious of itself? So our problem is, can thought realize for itself where it is essential to operate, where it is accurate in its operation and yet totally limited in every other direction? That means one has to go into the question of human consciousness. This sounds very philosophical, very complicated, but it isn't. Philosophy means the love of truth. Not love of words, not love of ideas, not love of speculations, but the love of truth. And that means you have to find out for yourself where reality is, and that reality cannot become truth. You cannot go through reality to come to truth. You must understand the limitations of reality, which is the whole process of thought. You know, when you look into yourself, knowing your consciousness, why you think, what your motives are, what your purposes are, your beliefs, your intentions, your pretensions, what your imaginations are, all that is your consciousness. And that consciousness essentially is the consciousness of the world. Please do see this. Your consciousness is not radically different from the consciousness of a Muslim, of a Hindu, or anybody else, because your consciousness is filled with anxiety, hope, fear, pleasure, suffering, greed, envy, competition, That is consciousness. Your beliefs and your gods, everything is in that consciousness. The content of that makes up your consciousness, and the content of that is thought. Thought that has filled consciousness with the things it has created. Look into yourself, and you will see how extraordinarily obvious it is. Can we, as human beings living in this disorderly, disintegrating world, become actually, not in theory or imagination, an oasis in a world that is becoming a desert? This is really a very serious question, and can we human beings educate ourselves totally differently? We can do that only if we understand the nature and the movement of thought as time, which means really understanding oneself as a human being. To look at ourselves not according to some psychologists, but to look at ourselves actually as we are and discover how disorderly a life we live. A life of uncertainty, a life of pain, living on conclusions, beliefs, memories. And becoming aware of it, that very awareness washes away all this.